Hey guys, got a 15-minute, is this rated? Not sure. Game against somebody rated 871. I'm going to play something normal. I'm going to play e4, e5. Okay, so this is rated, so this is a 0-16 game for me. And we have the King's Gambit. Golly, golly, gosh. Okay, wow. So here, my opponent is challenging my centre pawn with his own wing pawn. I'm going to take the first offered pawn, and now he's developing. So he's got himself somewhat of a lead in development, you might argue. So a natural move here would be to develop my opposite coloured knight. This pawn is undefended. If I play this knight, it's going to invite a pawn push with tempo, so I'm not going to worry too much about this guy. This is the key with gambits. Don't try too hard to hang on to the extra material. So, this is an opening I do not much face. If I go here with my bishop, it blocks off this guy. Then if he pushes, I can take... no, not really. Okay, so let's develop. I'm going to go kind of... what's this? The Alekhine defense style, actually inviting your opponent to do this. Okay, so he's lined up his queen here. And if I push that, he takes, with check, wins the knight. Not good. So let's just block off that line. Get ready to castle. So I think it's really important, particularly... okay, so he's taken the loose bishop, loose pawn. Particularly when you are starting out, to focus a lot more on principles in the opening play. So, develop. Minor pieces first, usually knights before bishops. Get your king castled, then develop your major pieces, which means centralise your rooks, get your queen off the back rank, and you are good to start playing chess. Okay, that's defended once by the queen. I'm going to go ahead and castle. Am I? Am I worried about this knight coming in? Am I worried about that? Or the bishop? Should I just push h6 as a prophylactic move here? So if I castle now, he brings his knight in. His queen can come into here, but that's guarded by my knight. Here, and pawn takes, I've got knight take, which is good for me. Here, pawn pushes, I have to retreat my knight. And that's then guarded by no fewer than 4 pieces, so I don't really want that. Okay, so I'm going to play this move. May not be the best. This is apparently the McLeod defense, but that's meaningless. Knight here is an option. d6 is also an option, because it kind of prevents the e5 push. Although it does constrain this bishop on this diagonal. But it releases this one and pin this guy, so it's a possibility. This pawn is defended only by the knight. Okay, he's gone with this, so I'm going to do this in Alekhine style. c4 is expected. Very natural. So he's played his first few moves pretty quickly and then took 29 seconds over that one. I'm actually attacking this bishop though, so he needs to be careful about that. So if he does push c4, he loses a piece. So my knights are actually now fairly well placed, and they've got good control over the dark squares, but no control at all because they're both on light squares. They've got no control over light squares, which makes this bishop a bit more important. So I might be tempted to push d6 and just try and release this guy. d6, if he wants to take... no, then I'd have to take back with the c-pawn because this bishop would be pinned. So I probably want to castle first before breaking with the pawn to get my king out of line with this lady here. Okay, he's having a jolly good think now. That's the current danger. So So I tend now to draw that on the board when I've got an immediate threat against my opponent. Okay, now I can kind of simplify a bit here. Do I want to take the bishop? I could come in and here look at this, but the queen's actually defending that pawn right now. But there's part of me that's just inclined to get rid of the bishop, swap off, put the queen here, castle. This knight is not good. It can't go there because I've got two pieces on that. It can't go there because of the pawn. Can't go here because of his own pawn. He does have good central control. Right, let's take the bishop. So now we've each got two pieces developed. Queen's looking at this, so castling now looks very natural. Also, this is now a possibility because the queen has moved, so it's no longer defending that. It's also defended by a bishop, so he's going to have to do something about that, and he can't castle. He could retreat the queen. I'm going to play that because also I have the possibility of putting my knight on d5, which is a nice place for my knight. Not worried about his knight, can't go there or there or there or there, so his knight cannot make forward progress at all. So my current threat is this winning the rook. So I think when I'm playing lower rated players live, okay, so that is an option. So yeah, when I'm playing lower rated players live, I think it makes more sense for me to go outside of my usual repertoire and force myself to play on principles. Now here, I have a tactic because I have knight here which hits the queen, and it's also a discovery by the bishop against the knight. And if I take out that knight, pawn takes, he's going to have fractured pawns on the king side, and because he's played the king's gambit, he's got no f-pawn. Which makes this diagonal a bit, let's say, weak. So now I'm threatening the queen, I'm also threatening this knight. The queen can't defend that knight because she can't go here. I think that's the only square. So what are you going to do? My opponent has these two pawns on dark squares in the middle of the board, alright. Okay, the queen's now attacking this. So castling does resolve that. I'm just going to castle. Still have the idea of trading off my bishop for this knight and fracturing his pawns on the queen side. I'm also inclined to try and trade off this. Whoa! Okay, that's a surprise. So two things spring to mind. I have knight here, where I get the option of taking out his light squared bishop, which might be a good thing, but it does kind of improve his other rook. But I also have this. And then pawn takes, get my queen on here, come off to that pawn. It's got to be a better move. Right, now this knight could come to there. Okay. Now do I have this though, do I? Attack the rook. Rook has three options, and then I get this pawn with check. But then the king moves. Now if the rook comes here, so if I go there, hit the rook, rook comes here, I get the pawn with check, king comes here, and then I think my knight is trapped. So so maybe queen here, with the idea of queen takes. It's a developing move, it's getting my queen off the back rank, it's getting me one step closer towards connecting my rooks. Okay, now where are you going with that knight? You're going here, aren't you? That's your idea. Now I have queen there with check. Can't, oh no I haven't. Because the knight has just moved. You see the importance of saying what has changed on the board. The knight has moved, so that discovers a defense by the queen on there. All right. And maybe you're thinking about this. So what if I push here now? That means my bishop is now guarding this whole diagonal, so the knight can't go there. Blunder. He didn't look at what changed on the board. He was thinking only about his previous idea, which previously was absolutely fine. Right? Come in here, attack the queen. No problem. Right? But after this move, that idea evaporated because my bishop was guarding that square, so he blundered a piece. He's now attacking my knight and my bishop. So, two options, bishop here or queen here. The natural first thing that came to mind is bishop g6, but I notice that the knight is also undefended, so I'm going to put my bishop here, I think. Hang on. If I put my queen here, she's very stretched, defending two weaker pieces. I also have maybe queen here with check, which means that white doesn't have time to capture the knight. I kind of like that. I'm going with that. There's no dark squared bishop to interrupt this diagonal. So he's got rook blocks. Queen blocks isn't an option actually because of the knight. Or the king has to move. Okay, so the king's moved. And now what do we have? Now, this is still an issue. I can push a pawn to defend it. I'd also like to trade off queens if I can. So this move is actually now an option. I'm forking the bishop and the rook. And the bishop is actually potentially quite a powerful piece with the board set out as it is. You know, there's a lot of space. His pawns are on dark squares, so his bishop has a lot of mobility to come out, you know, here, here, here. Lots of options. The other thing I want to do is I want to open up, if I can eradicate these pawns somehow. So c6 is an idea, but I'm kind of drawn to this. Also, it does open up b7, but that is not an option because I can put either rook on b8 and the queen is gone. So I'm going to go with this idea. Queen takes, rook moves, take out the bishop, probably. But then I also potentially have this pawn as well, because I've now got two attackers on that pawn. Queen's defending that. I might like to drop my bishop back here, defend this pawn again, attack here. It's all about possibilities. Now we sit and wait. Okay, now do we take out the bish? Check here isn't an option. This is an option. It attacks the rook again, which is tempting. And then this pawn is also undefended, so let's do that. Yep. Cannot stress enough the importance of that last sanity check, you know. Hover the piece over there. Is anything stupid here? King can't take. I'm attacking the rook. I'm attacking this pawn as well. If I go here, I even have potentially queen here, with the bishop also guarding that diagonal. All good. Now you can protect the pawn with rook d1. Okay, I'm taking the rook. It's for free. I've got queen here now with check. Okay, and that simply does not work. But I've got 5.5, well, nearly 6 minutes on the clock. So I have rook here, okay? Wins the queen. Queen can't even capture a pawn. If he does this, I take the queen with check. That seems very, very obvious. Now, I also have this. And I have to say, okay, well, what squares are now unavailable for my opponent? So all of these. He can't go here because queen there is mate, so that's out as well. If he goes in the corner, I have queen here, which I think is also mate. If he goes here, let's do this. Let's do this. Go in for the kill. Winning a queen is great, but checkmating is even greater. King in the corner. Okay, now I have queen here. Eliminates these moves. King can go there or there. Or I have this winning the queen still. Queen here. Okay, I need to be careful about this diagonal. Queen here, defended by both bishop and knight. King has to go there or there. He can't go there actually. So he goes there or he can't go there either. So queen here is still good. I think he only has the one move. Then I have a check with the knight. In fact, I can win the queen with my queen now. With this. Which is good. I like that. Keep the rooks connected. Okay, looks good. He's in check. So he's got 4 squares he can move to. But either way, I get the queen on the next move. Right, now my queen's under threat, so I should probably just take the queen. Yeah, let's not mess around. And I'm now up massively in material. Up a rook, a knight and a queen. Okay, and we have a resignation. Okay, my opponent has challenged me back, so let's go. Caro-Kann. I'm going to play my fantasy variation now. Okay, knight out here now. It's very tempting to push e5 and kick the knight. Yeah, let's do it. Tempo is a good thing. I think the knight should go back to there. Okay. Right, now my opponent has really surrendered a lot of centre. So I need to be concerned about this, as always. Because we did not exchange in the middle, so f3 is still there. If you exchange, f3 would have gone to e4, giving my knight a square here to defend that. So I've got to be conscious of that, but I do have g3. So I think normal development, maybe something like this. Let's play a very solid game now. This is again a0-16. I should actually be on 1550 right now. I played a rapid game yesterday. Very, very good game that went right down to the wire from the Vienna. And with about 15 seconds left on my clock, I was up king and a queen against the king, and I stalemated him. And because he was lower rated, I then lost 4 rating points. I should have won 4 rating points and hit 1550, but I didn't. Okay, let's bring the knight out. I want to get castled. And now I'm going to use Freddy as an offensive weapon. These are kind of ideas that start to become more instinctive with experience. Right, so I know that castling here, I've got my rook behind my f-pawn. My f-pawn is off the mark. The pawn structure is like this, so this appears like the outside of your most advanced pawn is a logical place to advance and make a pawn break. And here, if I can get Freddy to f5, that bishop is forced to retreat. But castling comes first, I think. Maybe get my bishop out so that my knight can come here without blocking in the bishop. But my knight can also come here. You have to think about the knight on that square, but then it can't go forward much from there. I think maybe something like this might be more solid. And there's nothing wrong with sending your horsey on a journey. Okay, I'm very tempted to push f4, f5 now. That would actually trap the bishop. Go on, let's do it. Can always castle. There's no big threat. I've got the centre quite locked down. This knight can't come out here. This knight can't come here. This knight can't come here. The bishop can't come there because it gets taken. And it appears that he has failed to notice. So that's defended, that's defended. Okay, right. Winning the bishop. So here what I've done is I've bent the rules, you know. Opening principles state you should get your minus stuff out on the board, you should castle your king, and then you attack your opponent in the middle game. However, an opportunity has presented itself because this bishop here has no escape squares. This square is defended, therefore this is a tactical opportunity that should not be passed up. And that's when you are allowed to bend the opening principles, because there is a significant tactical or material gain that you know is forthcoming. Okay, now he's having to have a really good think now. I do like this fantasy variation. I'm also very much in love with the Grand Prix against the Sicilian. I'm going back to that. I've had some really good games in the last few days with that opening. So while he's having a think, let's have a look at how often in fact, I'm going to go to Lichess because I want to see what real people do that aren't just masters. Okay, so I'm going to go to Opening Explorer. Still looking out for him making a move. Okay, so we play this, 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 this. And now, from this position, what ratings are we looking at? Let's just go 1600 only. Okay, so e5 advance is the most common, followed by the exchange. E takes d5. Knight c3 comes in next. f3, okay, that is the fantasy variation. This is called a Maroczy variation, okay? So we can see that f3 is being played 10,000 times, okay? And how many times has we had that position with d4, with d5? 482,000. So you get this in about 2% of d5 games, okay? 482,000 times, and this has been played only 10,000 times, okay? So it's a 48th, roughly a 50th, roughly 2% of the time. So your majority of Caro players will not be familiar with f3 on the third move. And that's what I like. Okay, he's taken. I'm going to recapture with my bishop. Right, now he pushes this. Okay. So, we go in. Hello, Morgan's here to help me. Hello, Morgan. So, what's changed on the board? Well, Mark Vigo from Ukraine is attacking my bishop. We do not like that. Queen's also looking at this, which is defended. Queen's looking at this, which is defended twice. No worries at all. I think dropping my bishop back here just looks very, very natural. Still looking at the corner in case he wants to castle that way. Then I probably want to improve my knight. I want to castle my king. I want to get my queen maybe here and come and checkmate his ass. He's moved his queen here where she really doesn't have many prospects because that's defended. That's defended unless I do something silly with my bishop, like, for example, take his knight out. Now, if I take that and she takes this, I can just move my knight, and then the queen can't take my rook, yeah? He's going to have to take that, and he's probably going to want the castle that way, isn't he? Maybe I should just castle my king now. and see what he wants to do. But the question is, what does he want to do? What is my opponent's idea? There. Now if I move my knight, my queen is guarding that square. This knight isn't really doing much right now. So he could come here or here. On this square he's defended, but not really because the bishop would be overworked. On this square he's defended by a pawn, and could come in here. Okay, I'm going to move my knight. Oh, hang on. No, because my knight's got a job. He's defending that. Okay, so I'm going to push c3. So that I've now got a dark squared pawn chain. He's got a dark squared bishop. I've got a light squared bishop, as well as a dark squared bishop. I may even push this at some point to release this bishop and maybe annihilate this knight. However, that's going to prompt pawn takes, which then opens up the g file for his rook. Then I don't think I'm going to be wanting to put kingy on g1. Not advisable. Don't castle your king onto a semi-open file, particularly if a rook can jump onto it. I can feel the evil welling up inside me. Right, so with this move, he can't come here because my bishop takes, can't come there because my pawn takes, could go there with check, so let's castle now and see what happens. I'd like to get my knight here because the bishop's looking at the... Oh, what? Oh, well played, sir. He's got a free pawn. He's noticed that this guy's pinned, so cannot capture the knight. Oh, very well done. And that is a lovely central square for the knight. But if I move my king, his knight's going to have to move. Can't go there. Can't go there. Well, can. Could take out my bishop. Okay, so maybe castling the king isn't the thing. Do I mind if he takes out my bishop? Let's go there. Let's move the king. This knight's now genuinely under threat because the pawn is no longer pinned. He might take my bishop, in which case I recapture with the queen. And the idea is about taking out that knight if he castles. But that was a good move. So now, yes, I have an extra bishop, this guy, but I'm down 2 pawns, these 2 guys. So I need to try and say, okay, this is an imbalance in the game, right? I have 2 semi-open files on the E file and the F file. So if he wants to castle this way, that's not a bad thing. So what I need to do is I want to tip this imbalance so that it's in my favour, right? Now, detrimental for black, he's down a bishop, he doesn't have a bishop pair, and he's put his queen in prison over here. So his most powerful piece on the board is completely unable to do anything interesting. Right? She really is out of squares. She can go here, here, or back here. Another idea is queen c2, taking this out for free. Yeah, but I didn't notice with castling. Castling puts my king in line with the queen, right? That's the first thing. What's stopping it? This, right? Which means that is pinned. And if that is pinned, then it's no longer defending this. Is this under attack? Yes. That's the thought process to go through, right? To spot the pattern. All right, so he's come in now. He might want to come in there, but that's no good because I take him out. Think it might be time to improve my knight. And I'm thinking about this. Comes with a discovery. So the queen would be attacking his knight and this bishop would be attacking this knight, but either one that I take is going to recapture with the other one. So he can't go there and he can't go there. What if I just kick him? He has to go back here. Yes, he does. Not going to lose 16 rating points, even with a cute kitten sitting on my chest. He really wants the castle, but he doesn't know which way to go. My feeling is castling long here is better for black. Also, if I take out that knight's the only defender of this pawn. So if he castles that way, I don't know. Take out the knight, pawn takes, double pawns. I grab this, attacking the bishop. Okay, so he's had to retreat. Now I have this option here of taking out that knight. Pawn takes. I'm slightly inclined to try and trade off queens here. Knight there isn't viable. His knights cannot advance at all, really. But this is a weakness. So let's try and trade off queens and see what he thinks. There's no increment on this game. It's 15 minutes. He's down to 6-10. And I'll pre-move the recapture as well. Okay, he's... Right, so what he's done is he's improved his queen. In fact, I just prompted him to do that. Queen is the only defender of this pawn. I have this move, don't I now? That looks like a really nice move. Hits the queen. Now what can he do? He can block with the bishop. My bishop's also defended by the knight there and the rook. I think it's a... I don't know. Question is, does this help my opponent? Or should I be thinking about bringing my other knight into play, right? See, what that is that this bishop attack here kind of feels a bit beginnery because it's I'm prodding my opponent. I'm not actually stabbing him in the heart, you know. Oh. Oh. Huh. So he's tempting me to capture here. He then retakes with the knight. Right? And then he's threatening queen h2 mate. And I can't run away to here because there would still be a knight on there. That is a very smart move. So these knights are now looking powerful. So what I want to do now is I want to frustrate his ideas. So my first thought was knight here, because that's what I was going to do with my knight anyway. Also frees up my bishop again. Knight here, he can't go there. He can't go there because bishop takes, and it's guarding this square. So let's do that. And now, capturing this knight is a possibility because there's no idea of queen here at all. I take, knight takes. This is now maybe a plan. Bishop here, trade off. Does that help me? 520. Do I take out the knight? I think I probably do. Or wriggle my bishop around here maybe, or something like that. Here, bishop blocks, knight there. Oh, so takes now, and I'm capturing myself into check. Right, that merits consideration. There, I'm in check. I have to go here. There is no queen h2 step. Oh, but then his pawn's attacking my knight. Very clever move. Where are you finding these moves, my friend? Where are you finding these moves? So if takes, I'm in check, I have to move, he gets a knight. I get the pawn. I've got knight here. Just block everything off. Knight here isn't an option because queen captures. Here it's defended by the bishop. Here, bishop blocks. Knight there. Let's try it and see what he thinks. I really am expecting this move. And if I put my knight here, he takes with the bishop, I take with the pawn. He takes with the knight, I take with the pawn. So bishop goes here, knight here. Still have the option of capturing this knight, maybe. But what I want to do is I want to nullify this diagonal. Okay, I'm going to play knight here without too much thought. Make him use his time to think. He took 30 seconds over his last move. So at that rate, he's got 8 moves left. Because he's got just over 4 minutes. However he takes, I can take with the pawn, attack this knight with the discovery on the queen from a protected piece. See? So let's say knight takes, pawn takes. Probably bishop takes, queen takes. And then I will have to take out his knight. Interesting times. But I'm more experienced than my opponent. I also have an idea here. Okay, so I'm taking with the pawn. Again, not thinking too much. Again, he took 47 seconds. Now he's down to 3.5 minutes. Okay, so I'm using the clock here as a weapon. Okay, now, what's happened is, he's recaptured with the knight, okay, which means that this is gone, and he's pinned his own knight. So he might want to play this. I can just drop my bishop all the way back to here. And happy days are here again. Okay, I'm going to centralize my rook, just because it's a good idea. Now if I move my knight, I mean, that's possible. Then I've got 2 attackers on the knight that's defended only once. I can take the knight, attack the queen, and win the game. So I think strategically, my problem here has been this diagonal. Okay, and I think queen b3 facing off the queens, prompting his queen to go back there, was a strategic error on my part. So that's the kind of things we need to learn. Okay, now this is defending the knight. But if I take pawn takes king here, hang on, I think pawn takes king here. Knight here exposes the queen, but it comes with check. But then I go, no, I just take the knight with my pawn, yeah? Takes, king here, check, takes with rook. I think I'm okay. I think that now my opponent is in desperation mode. And that is one thing that computers won't teach you, is the psychology of chess, right? See how I'm trying to use the clock against my opponent to to build pressure and tension, okay? He's down to under 2 minutes 20 now. This knight is still pinned, can't do anything. So his only active piece right now is this rook, which is not even very good. I mean, what can it do? Can't come here or here, I just take it. So I also might move my knight here. Okay, so now we do have 2 attackers on there. My knight's defending that. He's going to have to push f6, isn't he? Yes, he is. He's going to push f6. Yes, I know. Yes. Yes, Daddy's going to beat the Ukrainian. And if he does that, I could just allow the pawn to take. He's down to 1 minute 25. He's only slightly down in material, right? I've got both of his bishops, but he's got 4 pawns in return. However, my king is not actually exposed because my pieces are doing a great job of defending him. Tick-tock, down to the last minute, Mark Vigo. But I tell you what, he's played a damn sight better in this game than in the previous one. Right, now f6 I think there was required because now I have this. Hits the queen. Queen has to go here, or here, or here. This one I just trade off because that comes with check. This pawn hangs. Let's trade queens. Not even thinking about that. Let's grab the free pawn. Okay, he's doubling up there, but this is not playable, and also he's just hung his rook. Okay, let's take this one. Might even double up. And it's all over. Double up. Not afraid of the rook in the corner. Now I have this. Force a trade of rooks. And I'm going to win on time anyway. There, pre-move. King's going to come here. I simply retreat back to the 7th rank and protect my pawns. And let's go after this pawn here, which is vulnerable. Rook here is good. King comes in here, I have check. Pawn moves, I have a check. Okay, it's not stalemate. He's got this and he's got this. All right. Okay. Got 5 minutes. Let's play with our food. I'm not worried about this because my bishop is guarding the promotion square, so I'm just going to take out his pawn. Still the bishop is guarding the promotion square. I'm going to move my knight here. If he wants the queen, I have this. And we win there on time. But yeah, that was a really interesting one. Just do a quick review. So he's retreated his knight. I think knight d7 there is very likely to be the... In fact, we can check. So I've still got the Lichess analysis board open, right? So he does this, I do this. He does knight here, I do that. Knight f to d7 is played 292 times. Let's see what the... In fact, let's go to the Masters database. Knight f to d7 has only been played 19 times on the Masters database, and knight retreat to g8 only 4. Okay, so this shows that the Masters in this position do not bring their knight out to here and just ask for it to be kicked, right? Knight f6 has been played only 30 times at the master level, and black loses, right? Black's only won 13 out of 30. What? No, 13% out of 30 games. Okay, so don't play that move. So that's it. But yeah, so just quickly on with this. This was an error on my opponent's part. He just didn't spot the risk that his bishop was surrounded by his own pieces on the light squares. So he goes down in material then, but picks up a pawn in compensation. Retreat here. Lots of thoughts about taking out this knight, but it would have undefended this pawn here, so I never did it. Push, castle. Great move, great spot by my opponent in only 11 seconds as well. Okay, and now he comes down here with ideas of discoveries, but not very powerful because the knights are paired up, so they can recapture each other. So I drive the knight away, and now this I think was my strategic error on move 15. So have a quick look at the game review and see if the computer agrees that white move 15 was not the best. That's my hunch. I'll let the silicon fish god confirm. Okay, 77 accuracy from a sub 900. That's very good. Okay, I made 2 mistakes. Okay, so there's a mistake here. Right, so the thing is, I was going in for a cheeky tactic, yeah. My opponent could have dealt with it, okay, by pushing g6, okay. So just basically cover that square with the pawn. But I was banking on him missing it, and miss it he did. So that was apparently a mistake. My computer wanted me to play castles. Okay, that's a thought. Probably did consider it. Okay, anyway, so I play this, and he blunders his bishop. All right, and now let's move on to what was this. Okay, so it didn't mind. It said that was a good move, but it wasn't a mistake. Better move would have been, get rid of the knight. Interesting, which I never did. So this and then that was an inaccuracy. Best move, bishop there now, which we did consider. Because this was maybe a bit slow. So I trapped in my bishop temporarily there. Okay. Anyway, so knight here is a mistake. That was not the best move. Is it saying I should have taken? It is. But I was worried about this. And that, what would that do? Would have been excellent, but white is still completely winning. After knight f3. Knight f3, totally winning. Okay, so I didn't have to worry about that because I had knight f3, and I found knight f3, but I don't think I considered it at the time. So there you go. Learning from your chess. Okay, we've played 2 games. First one was more of a walkover. This one was a good game, and I've learned my lessons from it, which is all you can do, guys. So okay, I have had more calls recently for more live games, so there's a couple for you. Hope it's been useful, hope it's been entertaining. Thanks for watching, and Morgan and I will see you soon.